Hello YouTube, how is everyone doing? It's Professional here. Welcome back to my playthrough of Call of Duty World at War. And so on this part, we're doing the next Soviet mission, Their Land, Their Blood. And for people wondering, what am I wearing? This is my Battle of Berlin cosplay. So like I said, is I have a few cosplays for this playthrough, two Soviet uniforms, which you saw my Soviet Stalingrad uniform, and this is my Battle of Berlin uniform. This is actually what Dmitry actually wears in the campaign. I know you can't see him, but this is actually what he would be wearing, because if you actually watch the cinematic cutscene in this mission, and it goes to him for a second, you actually see he's wearing this helmet and this coat. But this is actually this is a real, Soviet, coat. It's not, this coat was not actually in World War II. This is a reproduction, but it's a reproduction of the actual coat. And this is also the Soviet, I think, M35 helmet, which I'll have it up on the screen. But I'm not sure if this helmet was actually used in the war or not. I don't know. I think this is a real helmet. I don't think this is a reproduction. I think this is actually from the war. But the coat is a reproduction. So I hope you guys like this cosplay. I try to dress up as the characters as I go through games. But also, guys, I will also have one more cosplay. So there's one additional cosplay that I'll be wearing, another American uniform that we'll be wearing for the Pacific missions. So I hope that you guys enjoy this. We're gonna be doing Their Land, Their Blood. Let's do it hard in difficulty. And also on this part, we will be using the Fall of Berlin mod. So I'm playing through this game with 4 mods, the Pacific Theater, the Darkest of Days Vendetta, Fall of Berlin, and the Ring of Steel mod. These are all historical accuracy mods. The mod makers did a great job with this mod, and I will have it again in the description if you guys want to check it out.
The Red Army's advance into Germany is swift and brutal. In mere months, we have reached Seelow Heights, the last line of defense before the German capital. We outnumber the Germans 10-1.
That's true.
Wave upon wave of our infantry are
It was 1,000,000 Soviet soldiers versus 100,000 Germans.
Once we have control of Seelow, we will begin the march to Berlin. There, we will ensure that every sacrifice is repaid in blood.
So you see, that's what Dmitry was wearing right there at that very end. And you guys are going to see the Germans are wearing different uniforms as well as the Soviets in this part. And it's basically to show what they were wearing during the Battle of Berlin. Seelow Heights is a real place, by the way. It's near the town of Seelow. It's right outside Berlin.
Kommt, lasst uns hier verschwinden, bevor sie nochmal angreifen.
Töten wir sie. Genau wie diese dreckigen Schweine.
Was gefunden?
Nur billigen Plunder, der sie wohl an ihre Heimat erinnern sollte.
Nein! Russisches Schwein, du hättest lieber tot bleiben sollen.
Was?
If somebody could translate that scene, I would really appreciate it in the comments. There's no subtitles for what the Germans are saying, and I've always wondered what they were saying on this part.
Dmitry, finish those rats! Once again, you cheat death. Our tanks are ready to smash this line, and... Chernov! I am not hearing gunshots!
There is no point, Sergeant. They are already bleeding to death.
Then maybe our friend will help them bleed faster. Burn the wheat fields! There will be no escape! Shoot!
Are we to shoot them in the back?
The back! The front! The head! Whatever you wish!
So, remember how I said World at War is like a horror game? And also, for you guys wondering, is it a war crime to shoot soldiers that are retreating? If they are armed, no, because they can still be a threat later on. But this, burning the wheat fields, this is a war crime. There's no purpose to doing this, because the civilians are going to need this after the war. They're going to need this to feed themselves. This is purely an act of vengeance. This is not a legitimate use. This is a war crime, burning those fields. And also, I will say about this, is that there's a few people in the comments on my last video that were getting the wrong idea, and they basically either didn't, you know, play World at War, or they've never seen the World at War campaign. The World at War campaign does not glorify the Red Army in the way that people think that it does. The World at War campaign on the Eastern Front shows the it accurately portrays the Eastern Front and the brutality of the Eastern Front, the horrible things that were happening. And there's plenty of scenes in this game where the Red Army commits war crimes. Like, there's scenes later in the game where they do horrible things. So for people saying that this game, like, glorifies the Red Army and, like, you know, it portrays, you know, all the Soviets as, like, good guys, no. There's plenty of scenes later on that you will see of them just doing pretty horrible things, which I'll comment on. And in this game, when it came out, actually pissed off a lot of Russians originally because of just some of the war crimes that the Soviets do. But it's realistic, because the Soviets did also engage in a lot of war crimes when they were going through Germany, especially 1945, around this time. But I'll talk about the war crimes a little bit later through it. But anyways, about this, what I wanted to comment on, most not floating here, but this guy right here, I'm sure you noticed this guy right here at the start. This guy is a Fallschirmjäger, German paratrooper. So that's the helmet, that's the uniform on it too. Yeah, so, and he's also wearing an Iron Cross, which is the highest decoration that a German soldier could have worn. This guy appears just to be regular Wehrmacht. But, anyways, the Soviet campaign actually has 3 different endings. There's a good ending, the good and honorable ending. There's the kind of neutral, bad guy ending, and then there's the evil ending. And if you want to get the good, honorable ending, don't commit any war crimes. Do not execute any prisoners. Don't burn the wheat fields. Don't, yeah, so don't burn the wheat fields, and don't, you know, execute any of the German soldiers that have surrendered. That's basically what you have to do to get the good ending. And these guys, don't kill these guys. If you kill these 2 wounded Germans, you cannot get the good ending. So that's what a lot of people miss. Right here, we got an FG-42 that we can take. And the FG-42, this is considered a machine rifle. And this gun was actually the gun that German paratroopers would actually be deployed with, this gun. You also see the FG-42 in Sniper Elite and in Hell Let Loose. That's where you've seen it. And also, about the Battle of Seelow Heights, Seelow Heights is a real place that's outside the town of Seelow. And this is right outside Berlin. So this is, like, right on Berlin's doorstep. And this was, you know, the Germans' last attempt to really stop the Red Army before they got to Berlin. But in reality, they had no chance of stopping the Red Army. None. They were so outnumbered, and they were getting boxed in on all sides on the Western Front as well. So they had already lost the war, and the Germans had already lost the war since Kursk in 1943. It was only a matter of time. They were just delaying the defeat, but there's nothing they could have done to possibly stop it.
You see, all things have changed, my friend. Now it is their land, their people.
For the historical accuracy mod, if you're wondering who these guys are, these bright blue uniforms, you probably haven't seen German soldiers wearing this in video games. These guys right here are Luftwaffe soldiers, which are the German German Air Force. The German Air Force did have their own infantry as well, but the Luftwaffe, the German, infantry in the Air Force, what they mainly did is they mainly guarded POW camps for, like, in the Western Front, like American and, like, British prisoners. Like, you see them in The Great Escape, for example. Anybody's ever seen The Great Escape? And also, if you ever see that show Hogan's Heroes, that's you'll see them. But the reason that they're here is because during the Battle of Berlin, the Germans were basically using every single unit that they had. So they were using, Air Force infantry. They were even using Kriegsmarines, which were sailors in the German Navy, paratroopers, Fallschirmjägers. There was Volkssturm, which was a civilian militia that was drafted at the end of the war. So it was like every single unit that you could think of was pretty much in this campaign.
Hunt them down like the rats they are! Drive them back!
See what this soldier here is wearing? The coat and the helmet. This is what I'm wearing. Exact same coat and helmet. So this mod also changes the Soviet uniforms.
Left or right? You lead the way.
It's better to go right on this mission. damn. I don't know how I got hit there.
I will do my duty.
This is why I like Hardened. Hardened is still a challenge, but it's not ridiculous like Veteran. Veteran is just annoying. Okay, now look at these uniforms. See this? This is Nazi SS right here. These guys are the most fanatical to the Nazi regime, and they are the least likely to surrender. These guys, the SS, are the ones who are going to fight till the very end. They were fanatical and loyal to Hitler. They were the worst. STG-44, the Sturmgewehr 44, which is the world's first assault rifle made. A lot of people debate on what the first assault rifle is. They think it's the Russian Automat, but the Russian Automat did not fire, I'm pretty sure it didn't fire an intermediate cartridge. This was, the STG-44 was really the true first assault rifle made.
Kill them all! Okay, come and move! They're coming! German, MG, right below us. Use your Molotovs! Let them burn in their posts!
Okay, reload this. What's really ironic about the Soviets using the Molotov is the Molotov was actually pretty much created to be used against them. It was used in the Winter War. The Finns would actually use the Molotovs to actually destroy Soviet tanks when the Soviets were trying to conquer Finland. And they named it after Molotov, the Soviet foreign minister. These enemies eventually run out here. Okay, time to move up. And also about the Battle of Seelow Heights is the Soviets took a lot of casualties during the Battle of Seelow Heights, but most of their casualties were from German artillery, and one of the reasons the Soviet casualties were pretty high during the Battle of Seelow Heights is because Seelow Heights was really the last major battle where the Germans had
These trenches will be their graves.
where the Germans had tons of artillery support. In Berlin, they had artillery, but it wasn't to the extent that they had in Seelow Heights. Now, Seelow Heights was a very swampy area, and it got foggy too. And what happened is Zhukov, who was the commander of the Soviets, what he did was he used floodlights during the fog to light up the area. But the floodlights actually caused way more damage because it gave away the Soviet position, and the Germans saw the floodlights and they started bombing that area with artillery, and that inflicted a lot of losses on the Soviets. And what also happened was the Soviet tanks and the trucks were actually all clumped up on single roads together, and they got stuck in the mud, and then the Germans would fire artillery, and they destroyed a lot of Soviet vehicles in this battle because of that. There was also a competition between Zhukov and I think Chernov was the other Soviet general, where they were basically competing who gets to Berlin first, and the Soviet media was even like encouraging the competition. So they were competing to get to Berlin instead of just thinking firstly about the lives of their men.
Dmitri, lead the charge! Cover! Germans from up there! On the balcony!
Panther tanks.
They're fine! Storms are advance! Protect our armor! Again! Fire the Panzer Schreck!
There we go, got it.
German tanks approaching! Use the rockets! Fire the Panzer Schreck! Their armor is no match for you! Hero of Stalingrad! Fire! Keep going until the last one burns! No tanks! Fire the Panzer Schreck! Goodbye!
Crap up.
Dmitri, turn their weapons against them!
Another tank
Boil
destroyed.
them in their steel coffin!
Crap.
Sowjetische Truppen! There! By the tank!
What I do appreciate about this mod is that it gives your allies better accuracy, so your allies kill more people, which is, you know, always a welcome. Oh, that would have been it from the back with the Panzer Shrek, but,
Follow me.
there we go.
We will regroup at the barn.
Make sure you keep the Panzer Shrek on you.
In Deckung gehen. Dmitri, I see time has not weakened your aim. You can learn much from this man, Chernov. Break open the door. The cowards may hide in shadows, but we will find them. Triumph! Another tank! Dmitri, take it down! Again! Hurry up!
Sergeant Rezov, you seem to relish in the slaughter.
I've seen my friends die in front of me at the hands of this vermin. They deserve everything they get, and more. Dmitri, ride on one of the tanks. You have earned the rest. Chernov, you have not. You walk.
Now, what I will say also about this is Chernov is the most humane Soviet soldier in this game. He's a true hero. And, you know, he's, you know, doesn't, you know, he doesn't want to commit any kind of war crimes. He just wants to defeat Germany, primarily just that. He's a very compassionate guy. But Reznov constantly portrays him as weak, but he's actually the, when you really think about it, the strongest out of all of them, because he's not a war criminal. He doesn't engage in horrible things. So the campaign in World at War, the Soviet campaign, is a pretty good one, because it portrays that there was, you know, good people in the Red Army like Chernov, but it also shows that there was people that had done horrible, you know, atrocities. You'll see some of that a little bit later on.
The path is blocked! Our tanks cannot move up!
They will find a way around. This is it, man. When we clear this compound, we can
Keep the Panzer Shrek for this part, because the
those towers! Use the Panzer Shrek!
The Panzer Shrek can destroy the towers and also the trucks that are coming in.
Find some rockets! Blow up those towers!
There we go.
Comrades, follow Dmitri's example!
Oh, the truck. Another truck.
Got him! German throw! Cover me! We're loading! They're coming!
Get this grenade out of here. At least it's not as bad as Veteran.
Fighting in!
They're moving in! There's another one!
Get them on there! Reloading! I'm over you! I'm not a fish!
German truck approaching!
Dmitri, blow it to pieces before they take position.
Crap.
German infantry approaching.
There we go. Kind of weird, the infantry variant of the Mosin Nagant is the sniper variant in this game.
Destroy the towers!
Towers destroyed, okay.
Reloading! German troops! Nein, not see them all! Sowjetische Truppen! Alles gut! Hochdeckung! Wir kommen! Feindliche Infanterie!
Crap, okay. Make every shot count here. MG42, okay.
I've got them in my sight!
They're pulling back!
It matters not where they choose to die. Hunt them down! No mercy was shown to my comrades in Stalingrad. No mercy will be shown here. An eye for an eye.
Look at this. This is where the historical accuracy mod comes important. I can't read German. Deutscher, Volkssturm, Wehrmacht. But I don't know what. I think Deutscher. I think that means German. Volkssturm, Wehrmacht. I think that's what it's supposed to mean. But Volkssturm. When get this grenade out of here. Trying to tell history and I get interrupted by the grenades. This armband, this is a real armband that the Volkssturm units actually had. And these guys are not regular German army. These guys are civilians. And the Volkssturm, who the Volkssturm basically are, is they're a civilian militia that was created by, Hitler. I think it was like September or October 1944. It was like in fall 1944 when it was created. And what the Volkssturm basically was, it was civilians that were previously not eligible to serve that were being drafted because Germany was getting desperate and they were drafting basically every single person they could. And by 1945, they started drafting girls as well. So early 1945, women started getting drafted as well. So in the Battle of Berlin, you would have also seen women Volkssturm units shooting at the Soviet soldiers. But the mod doesn't have that. But you do see male Volkssturm units. But about the Volkssturm is they were the weakest German infantry unit of the war, and primarily because they were civilians. They were people who never saw any kind of combat, and they had barely any training. Maybe it was like a week or two of training, and that was it. And so they might have been trained one day, and the next day they would have been sent out to battle. That's what the Volkssturm units were. And the Volkssturm, they were made up of young people, Hitler Youth and such, that were maybe 15, 16 years old, so kids, teenagers, and you also had really old men, so old men, people in their 60s and their 70s, and some of these guys did have some combat experience. They were previously World War I veterans, but by the time World War II, combat had actually changed a lot since World War I, and these guys were also old. They weren't in a state to fight. And then you also had people that had injuries. They might have been crippled from some kind of injury earlier in the war, and they and now they're being drafted to fight. So the Volkssturm units were units that got wiped out pretty quickly, and they were also very ill-equipped. You even had old women that were drafted into the Volkssturm later on, and one of the signature weapons of the Volkssturm was the Panzerfaust, which was a disposable German rocket launcher. It was a cheap rocket, shaped charge from a rocket launcher that the Germans would fire, and the Volkssturm units were trained a lot in that, and they were trained to get as close to the Soviet and American tanks as possible and just detonate them. And the Volkssturm units were not expected to survive in those Panzerfaust units because they got so close to enemy armor. But that's the thing, is that these guys are civilians. A lot of these guys that are in these units, and so these guys are civilians that they probably didn't do anything bad. They were just regular civilians that had been, drafted in the last few weeks of the war, and forced against their will. And, Reznov is like, and the thing is, Reznov is like, saying, no mercy was shown to my comrades in Stalingrad. But the people that committed those horrible war crimes in Stalingrad, that was the 6th Army. And the 6th Army was wiped out. They were wiped out. They were either killed in battle or they were sent to work camps afterwards. These guys were not part of the 6th Army, these Volkssturm units. These were units that were probably too young. They were probably kids at the time that Stalingrad actually happened. And so these were not the guys that were committing, war crimes in Stalingrad. These were just civilians, and Reznov was just taking it out on them and just mass murdering them. But you'll see plenty of scenes later in the game where, like, Volkssturm units are getting massacred. And so, like I said, these guys, I'm not defending Germany during World War II. The only thing I'm saying is that these guys were basically civilians. They were civilians that were drafted in the last few weeks of the war. They probably didn't do anything bad. They were just regular people that were just living their lives, and they were just forced into the German army in the last few weeks. And they had no choice. If you disobeyed that, if you did not, participate in the Volkssturm, you'd be hanged. And what they would do is they would hang you from a street lantern, and they would put a sign on you saying "coward," hanged for being a coward. And that was to scare other people from refusing to fight too. And you actually see a scene of that, of a German soldier getting hanged later in the game.
Okay. See yourself. German infantry approaching.
Get out of here!
Widerstand!
Petrenko!
They're coming!
Crap. Okay.
Fighting infantry!
They're counterattacking! Covering!
Reloading!
They're in some pretty good cover on this part here.
Ready your turn! Victory is at hand. The German cowards desert their posts, but they have nowhere left to run.
In this part, you can just see them getting wiped out right now.
Like cockroaches in the light. From this moment on, every step we take brings us closer to Berlin, closer to victory, closer to revenge. Fire!
Okay, so that is pretty much it for that mission there. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this part. And again, I think that a lot of people, have gotten a big misunderstanding about World at War's campaign. Because like I said, World at War shows that there was, heroes in the Red Army like Chernov, that, helped to defeat Nazi Germany. They were a great contribution. But the game also does not shy away from portraying the brutality that the Red Army had committed against prisoners of war, which you will see that later on. So for people that say that, that the game, portrays the Soviets as, this, really heroic, soldiers that didn't do anything bad, not necessarily. You will see some of those scenes later on in the game. But like I said, is that the World at War has the best Soviet campaign out of any, World War II game that I've seen. Of all the World War II games where you can play as Soviets, is World at War has the best Soviet campaign. So thank you guys for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you did, drop a like, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day, guys.